Alright, so in this video we're going to be talking about the different types of organelles that we find in a cell. So the first one we're going to mention is the nucleus. The nucleus is the biggest organelle. Its job is to direct the cell activities, and it contains genetic information stored in DNA, proteins, and the nucleolus. I think of the nucleus like the brains of the place, so it like controls everything. It's the boss of the cell. DNA, the nucleus holds the DNA, and DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. And DNA is just the genetic material that carries information needed to make new cells and new organelles. We'll be talking about DNA in a few chapters from now. We'll spend a whole chapter talking about DNA. The other thing that's involved in the nucleus is the nucleolus. And the nucleolus is this little part in the center of the nucleus that makes ribosomes. So its job is to make these ribosomes. Then surrounding the nucleus, you have a nuclear envelope, which is just a set of membranes that surrounds the nucleus. It contains these little holes called pores that let molecules like ribosomes and RNA in and out, which becomes really important when we start talking about building protein and some of the other processes that go along with DNA and RNA. So that's the nucleus. So like I said, it's kind of like the brains of the place. The second organelle we're going to mention are the ribosomes. And ribosomes are these itty bitty little teeny tiny guys, little tiny little dots here. What their job is to do is to make proteins. And like I mentioned, we'll be talking about proteins and building proteins a lot when we get to the DNA chapter. So right now, all you need to know is that they make proteins. They're the smallest organelle and the most abundant. So that means there's the most of these little bitty guys of all the other organelles. They can be found in two places. They can either be just free floating around in the cytoplasm like these guys here, or they can be attached to the rough ER. So like these guys here are attached. And that brings us to our next organelle, which is the endoplasmic reticulum, or ER. And the endoplasmic reticulum is a system of folded membranes that spreads from the nucleus throughout the cytoplasm. So here you can see you've got the nucleus here, and then you've got the ER spreading out away from the nucleus. There are two kinds of endoplasmic reticulum. There's the rough ER. That's the ones that have all of the ribosomes dotted on it. So this one would be rough. You can see the ribosomes here. And that is the site of protein production. So this rough ER is where protein production happens. So those ribosomes that are attached to the rough ER are the ones that are doing that protein making. The smooth ER has no ribosomes on it. So here you can see smooth ER. Its job is to make lipids. So remember those fats. And then it also helps remove harmful substances from the cell. So it helps carry things out of the cell. The next organelle we're going to mention is the one you guys all seem to be the most familiar with, and that is the mitochondria. This is what the mitochondria looks like right here. And the mitochondria is the main power source for the cell. So its job is to break down sugar to make cell energy. And cell energy is adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. So that's what the mitochondria does. It does this. It's a process actually that we're going to be studying soon called cellular respiration. So it breaks down sugar to make cell energy. Super important. Cells have to have that energy in order to function. The next organelle is the chloroplast. So that's what this guy right here is. And the chloroplasts are not found in all of the cells, but they're found in plants and they're found in algae. And this is where photosynthesis happens. So the light energy is absorbed by this chloroplast and then used to make food or glucose, which is a sugar. And again, we'll talk more about photosynthesis here coming up in a couple chapters. The sixth organelle we're mentioning today is the Golgi apparatus. So this is the Golgi apparatus right here. And what it does is it packages proteins in vesicles and distributes them. So it's kind of like the mail carrier or something like that. You know, it puts the proteins in these little packages and then ships them out. And so we mentioned that the Golgi apparatus puts things in vesicles. So what's a vesicle? So this is what a vesicle looks like. It's just a little ball-like structure that carries substances from one spot in a cell to another, or it moves things out of the cell. So that's its two jobs: to carry things, move things from one place to another, or move things out of the cell. I kind of think of it like the mail truck. You could think of it like, carries things from the packaging place to another place, something like that. Our eighth organelle is the lysosome. And lysosome, I always remember lysosomes clean. And I remember that because lysosome sounds like Lysol. So lysosomes clean. Their job is to get rid of worn out or damaged organelles. They get rid of wastes. They get rid of foreign invaders using their digestive enzymes. So they just wipe those things out. So they're cleaning up the messes, getting rid of the old stuff and the broken stuff. And then finally we have the vacuoles. And the vacuole is the great big vesicle found in plant cells. And it's going to store food or water or wastes and until they can be removed from the cell. So those are the organelles.